Alright, good afternoon everyone. My name is Patrick Hawe. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial conditions. Please pause the video and read this whole disclosure. Positions, nothing new here for swings from, I don't think anything from the last time I was on YouTube. I think the last time I was on YouTube I was long JP Morgan, and I sold that after they reported earnings and went up, so that was good. So yeah, Meta out. Let's take a look here. So Derek is doing, I'm going to do like a quicker afternoon meeting today because Derek's doing the chat with the pro traders at 5 on LinkedIn, so I don't want to take away from that. I'll post a link for that after here. But yeah, so I titled the video "Earnings Season in Full Swing" because that's, basically what's going on right now. We're in the middle of the busiest week of earnings season. What is it, like 35-40% or something of the market reports this week, and that doesn't include Apple, which usually we get Apple on the same weeks, or usually Apple's like in this big week. If anything, usually it's on another day with another big name. I think one season recently we had like Amazon, Google, and Apple all on the same day. But Apple's next week after the Fed, so super big week, super busy week for earnings, not including Apple. So let's take a look for today. We got Meta and Roku. We got a bunch of names today, honestly. Just scroll through them real quick, but it looks like Meta crushed it on their numbers. The reaction is crushing it as well. That measured move is a little under 20 points, doing around 20, maybe a little over 20 right now. Yeah, Meta Beta. I guess that phrase will not be getting out of our heads yet. Let's see what else. We got Roku out. I'm worried that my computer's been slow all day, and I'm worried that my light speed's going to be slow now. Sometimes it's really, really slow when I'm doing these meetings. And if it is, then I won't waste your guys' time. Come on, Roku. Yeah, I'm also looking for that guidance as well. Yeah, Bill posted it, so they see. Looks like their net rev guidance is okay. Their EBITDA was a miss. I think that's when it downticked. At one point, it downticked back to like 58. And they had a partnership with Instacart as well. Ticking back down. Speaking of which, now as well. eBay, Teladoc. Bunch of earnings names out. I don't want to try and type up a bunch of names though. I need to restart my computer tonight. And usually when it gets like this, and then I'm also streaming this meeting, it's extra slow. So we'll just chat about the market real quick, what's going on, and what to look forward to really in the future. So again, earnings season. Last week we had Tesla and Netflix come out last week too. Netflix is usually the first big tech to come out. Netflix was okay, and the stock reacted down on it, and then has since been holding more or less. Tesla, similar until today. Tesla really rolled over today. But it had reacted down and then was trying to kind of like wedge base off 160. Was seeing buyers off 160 the past few days or so. Maybe it's easier if I use TradingView because this shouldn't be delayed. Yeah, so like Tesla gapped down from earnings, chopping around the past couple days, but then broke down today. Netflix, on the other hand, gapped down from earnings and has since been holding and chopping more or less fairly well. Then we had Microsoft. So then yesterday, so we've been talking about the possible bearish divergence that's been coming into the market with the VIX for I want to say like a week now or so, just quickly looking at like the VVIX compared to the SPY. So on April, I always like doing these like divergence lessons with you guys because you like to ask about it, and anyone on YouTube who doesn't really know about it, this is what I mean. And these divergences can happen on different time frames. The bigger the time frame, the more important typically. But so if you look like Friday, April 14th, Monday, April 17th, VVIX makes a slight lower low here, but closes with a green candle. Those same days, VIX is making new lows on the year and then pressing into new lows in the 16 handle. So going off, so the VVIX pivots on Monday. On Tuesday and Wednesday, VIX presses down further into further year lows. And while that's going on, VVIX is actually rallying in the face of that. So this divergence had come about, I guess it's like over a week ago at this point now. We had been watching it carefully, and what we had been seeing in the market is, yes, we couldn't break down positive gamma, kept holding up. Options expiration, coincidentally or not, was last Friday. So, again, coincidence that we had to get out of the way before we broke down. We were just chopping around and holding, but we couldn't really, it's like, okay, we get extended here, we come in, we hold the 8-day, we start to move up, we break this high over here. And that's when we should start to, grind higher. And it ended up being kind of a week of buyer exhaustion, running into sellers, whatever you want to call it, followed by a gap down, 3 dojis in a row of brutal trading. And then finally yesterday we actually roll over, we actually break down a bit with a finally solid green candle for the VIX. We had this one, but since that, we haven't had since yesterday, and we've been looking for it, and every gap up has been sold, every uptick has been sold, every 30-minute pocket of strength in the VIX has been sold for weeks. Yesterday was the first green VIX, like real green VIX candle in, a long time, like over a month, really. So VIX is finally alive. So we get the market rollover, you're getting that bearish divergence. Well, that happened. You don't want to see that and then see this happen and say, okay, this market looks bad, I'm going to start shorting, because that's starting to play out already. So now what we're seeing, it looks like so far with earnings anyway, is, Roku's important, whatever, but Meta is definitely important. So far, Microsoft is looking pretty good. What did Microsoft end up doing? How to close today? Microsoft closed okay today. Didn't close at the highs, but gigantic gap up after yesterday's rollover. They couldn't have closed that Microsoft really any worse yesterday into the report. But so giant gap up for Microsoft there. That held pretty well. This Meta is up decently. So far, these earnings reports are looking more or less okay. This Google kind of rolled over today, but it's just in this upper consolidation in this daily chart. I still think this looks okay. And we still got others to get through. Again, we got Apple, which is obviously big. We got Amazon to get through. There's a ton more to get through. But so far, it looks like these reports more or less are, holding up okay. And what we saw from that today was some actually positive VIX divergence start to form. That being said, though, we still ended up rolling over, which was interesting. And we'll see how this plays out with now, again, Meta up. And again, it's like this would be the second day in a row where they close us really, really weak, and then we just have good earnings reports and we, rip up immediately and gap up. But so if you look at SPY, or the let's look at, I guess, SPX. So if you look at the S&P, we lost yesterday's low and closed below yesterday's low as well. And I don't, unless we really ramped into the afternoon, I don't think so. Yeah, so if you look at the S&P, broke yesterday's low, closed below yesterday's low. If you look at the VIX, did not break yesterday's high. Obviously didn't close above yesterday's high because we never even broke it. And if you look at the VVIX, which is the leading indicator, it's traded down today and closed red. So if that we're starting to get some positive divergence now. If that continues, any weakness probably gonna be bought, honestly, in this market. They just can't really, VIX 20 is kind of like a ceiling now there, it looks like. The fact that didn't break out today, but we'll see tomorrow. I guess we'll see tomorrow. That could break out tomorrow, go through 20, and maybe we're testing 4,000 or something like that. Other than that, though, we're really retesting this 40-50. I think it's a little bit more of a level in the futures, 40-50. But that was the big breakout from all of this in, I guess this was like the month of March or so, where we would like poke above 4,000, not really go. 40-50 was this level that we had been talking about for a bit, and now we're coming back down to test it. So we'll see if 40-50 on futures holds. It would make sense to try to hold or bounce off it on first glance. So far, this looks like a fairly healthy correction in an overall bullish market. VIX is down trending overall. The VIX doesn't go straight down every day forever. The VIX doesn't have its 30-minute strength sold every day forever. The VIX doesn't never have green candles ever, right? You still get rollovers and stuff like that, but so far this is all looking pretty healthy in the bigger picture, unless, things start to come out, I guess. This FRC was a focus for some. The good tech earnings are kind of taking away the focus from some of this stuff too. But like this FRC is most likely going bankrupt, we'll see, but looks pretty bad. Trading down like 50+% from 2 days ago. So there's still like that banking drama out there. We're going to see how these earnings events go. And then we got the Fed next week, next Wednesday, which those Fed funds futures, it's interesting that we're trading weak now too, because now those Fed fund futures are starting to work their way back down. It's actually, I don't think it's even 100%. It's like 77, 80% that we're getting a hike next week. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a hike. Seems more or less consensus, though, that that's going to be the last one. And then the big thing that's still just crazy is we're still pricing in rate cuts. We always were, but we went from pricing in 3 to starting to back off to maybe 2. And now it looks like I think we're fully back to pricing in really 2 to 3 solid rate cuts by the end of the year. Which, again, if the S&P has a healthy correction here and, bounces off 40-50, 4,000 and goes back to 4,100, I don't know. I don't really see a reason why we're going to need multiple rate cuts. We'll see. I guess we'll see if inflation dies down that hard, that fast, but a little hard to see that with the dip buying as well. So, I don't know. That's bigger picture stuff, though. But yeah, so for now, I think any weakness tomorrow, I'm probably looking to be a bit more aggressive for buying. Not that I wasn't, like today I was buying some Tesla weakness, but that was for more of a bounce. And weakness tomorrow, I'd start to think about like not a 15-minute bounce, but more of a day and a half type bounce. But the conditions have to be, again, like, further weakness with the VIX not really confirming that. New news, FRC bid. Just speaking of FRC. That's not really much of a pop. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what, things can still come out. And then again, I think the Fed funds futures really moves us a lot. Even just that morning, I forget if it was this day where we sold decently, and it was finally when those Fed funds futures had started to back off of those rate cuts, which we're certainly trading like we're going to get all those rate cuts throughout here, just holding up, and every dip getting bought, every rally in the VIX getting sold. So we'll see how that adjusts from both the Fed meeting next week and then just the data that we get in May, CPI and PCE, everything like that they like to watch. So yeah, so big picture, Bulls momentum has been lost. A little bit bigger picture than that, I think the Bulls are still in control. And then a bigger picture than that, we're still just stuck with waiting for data in the next event, kind of moving off that, and then waiting for data in the next event, and then kind of moving off that. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing things. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to really want to talk about. So I want to keep it short too, because Derek has his thing coming. So if anyone has any questions or anything like that they don't want to ask Derek and want to ask me or something, I don't know. Feel free to ask. Scroll up in the VTF and see if I missed anything. Oh, let me open YouTube as well. Make sure I don't miss questions on YouTube. Don't see anything there. And then let me check the VTF. Earnings talk. Question, I'm new here. What are the numbers above your candles? You're probably looking at the trading view chart I had pulled up. This is it's called TD sequential, but it's basically the DeMark indicator, DEMARK. Feel free to Google search it. It's kind of about extension, or sorry, not extension, exhaustion and probabilities. Kind of has to do with that, but DeMark, DEMARK. Feel free to just Google search it. And it should be easy to read. I'd rather you read about it real quick first than have me try to explain it to you when you have no idea of the basis of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, not to dodge your question, but I think that would be easier. First Republic Bank faces limit on Fed borrowing. Nice, nice. Weakness. Yeah, yeah, Brant. There was some. I'm trying to. So actually, funny enough, speaking of the intraday action, besides this morning, was kind of lame today. Even though we did move this afternoon, just kind of a grind down. A lot of the flow. There's a lot of earnings flow today, and the two that I can really think of. No, I guess three. They were buying AMD calls. They were buying Meta calls. There was a really big Meta sweep today, and then they were buying Amazon puts. There was a good amount of Amazon puts. I forget what's month. It was the 100s. Maybe they were June's. But we'll see what Amazon looks like. The Amazon flow for earnings is looking bearish, and Meta was looking bullish. So an earnings flow is nothing to act off of. I don't trade off it. Still take a note, but you never know what's behind that stuff. Yeah, we'll see tomorrow if we get that weakness Brant. I assume it's not going to be easy and they're going to gap us up because that's how it goes. But on the VTF this morning around 10 when you mentioned Tesla was oversold, and shortly thereafter Derek's bid just got mixed. I believe you had a bid, yeah, and then got hit on the next try down. I had a bid at 51 at the same time. Bid got grabbed. Since we all went to violate every trade for yep. I figured from a P&L standpoint I was comfortable over no more than 50. Come my risk. Couple of tries, and he got stopped out. In a situation like this, what is the technical out? I'm curious what Derek uses to stop on his bid. So on the Tesla trade, this was, I would assume most people would kind of know what I'm doing when I'm doing an extension trade with this because we've gone over it. But the Tesla for me was more of just an extreme intraday extension trade where you have all those layers of probability. You have daily extension. It's not super extreme, but you have daily extension. It's not it's not like breaking. It rolled over today, but it's not like breaking down a big consolidation or anything. It's extended on the daily, and then you had 5 minute extension, you had 15 minute extension, you had 30 minute extension, you had extension on every single time frame. The 5 was really big, the 15 was really big. 5 minute RSI was like sub 10, which on the opposite side that would be over 90, but over 90 sub 10, that's like really really extreme, and just doesn't last unless the companies, I don't know, just said they're going bankrupt or something. So it was an extension bounce. I'm always try to be very careful talking about these trades in the afternoon meeting, because I don't think this is like something beginners should try to do, because the honest answer, at least for me, the way I do it, is you can't really have an out, because you are buying this trade in extreme extension. The basis of that, at least this is how like I think about it, the basis of that trade is the rule of extension. As long as it's not some random bio stock or something that could just have news come out and have it go to zero. You always correct to extension on every time frame, always, like always. So, again, look at your chart, scroll back out to the history forever. So based on that, that Tesla is gonna see its 5 minute ADMA at some point today. You're using your context as well. I talk about, where is it gonna go is important. Where is it coming from is also important too. So this thing was 162 yesterday afternoon, rolled into the close, opened 160, and basically sold straight down into like 156 or so. So so that's when I start, in these extension trades, I talk about it like it gets so extreme. You need to, again, know what you're trading, like what the range is, how it's going to move. But, again, whether it's for Tesla, it's usually like a point or so. I don't know about 50 cents you could do. It's a little tight. I'd probably try to make at least a point on Tesla. But it gets to the point where you're like, okay, Tesla is extremely extended to the downside on every single time frame. It just went down straight, 5-6 straight dollars. The next dollar in Tesla is up, not down, in this extension, and that's part of the key. That's like part of the key with it for me. And again, this is just how I do it. That this isn't the way to do it. Everyone can do things differently. You got to do it in a way that you're comfortable with, and this is just how I'm comfortable with doing it. So like I'm buying, I guess I can say, well, so let me just reread the end of your question real quick. So I don't want to like ramble on here. I'm gonna start rambling on about extension. But you don't have an out because you are buying. I'm trying to like explain as quickly as possible. You don't have an out because you're buying extension intraday, and that trade is extension trade. The like basis or reasoning for it is it's gonna correct back to equilibrium. So it's not the same. If you're buying like downside movement at daily support, that trade is a support trade. You're buying off support. That's not the same type of trade. So if you're buying off support, and say like you're buying Tesla on the way down, 155 support, it breaks 155, it's breaking support, that's a stop. For me, I'm just buying kind of pure extension, where I know just from experience at this point, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, that things don't hold support and resistance perfectly. And especially when the volume is, ripping and everything, things overshoot. That's why you get candles that have big tails through levels, but then they end up closing okay, or they end up closing not okay. It's an overshoot. It's a shakeout. So when I'm doing an extension trade like this, like you can't really have an out right away, because I'm not buying off of support. I'm not buying this because it's at support. That could help me in picking the spot for sure. But again, when it's high volume and it's extended, it can easily blow through the support, which it did. I mean, 155 could have been a bit of a level. It tried to bounce off that, and then it blew through it in another leg down, but then it bounced back. So I don't have an out because there's no out to have. I'm not buying a support level. I'm not buying a pivot. There's no pivot because I'm buying it on the way down in the extension. And so then you go back to like, okay, it came down $6 straight. I'm starting to say the next dollar is more likely going to be up, not down in this extension, yada, yada, volume pickup, yada, yada. And then if the next dollar is not up, but it is down again, I'm buying more because then it's even more probable that it's up, not down. And it's also even more extended if it's like straight down like that. And it can be a little scary, but if you're sizing right and you're not taking, if you're taking like 25%, 25%, 50%, and you're not taking like your full boat at, one price, you're gonna get, more often than not, you're gonna get that bounce. There's no guarantees in trading for sure. They could halt Tesla and it could have bad news. Like, I don't know. But you're gonna get that pivot, that bounce, that, movement to equilibrium at some point when it's extreme like this. And it's important that, again, it's on every time frame. It really helps when it's on the daily too. This extension on the 5 is much different than this up here. I think I can kind of show you. I know Derek does this sometimes. So I started on the way down. I think I said I started to nibble like low 156s. This actually bounced within this candle, and I bounced like I was trying to sell it $1 higher, and it probably bounced like 90 cents, and I didn't get filled. But I started small, so that was fine. And these dots are kind of a mess here, but I basically bought some more, sold. I think then I think I rebought some, and then I had that like crazy flash uptick where I resold some more. And then after, so, I bought more, then sold a bunch, sold a good amount in that pop. I would have been probably all out by like upper 156s if it could have done it then, but it didn't do it. It had another leg down, and it didn't really even quite touch the 5-minute. And I'm looking at the 5-minute, looking for a 5-minute bounce when I know like how extremely extended this is on the 15-minute chart. Like I'm buying, my first buy at low 156s was early in hindsight, but I'm doing that when the 15-minute ADMA is up at 159, and I'm only trying to sell at 157, right? So yeah, it ended up having its next leg down. I had taken some off here. So like, red on the trade, slightly green. By this time, I'm probably slightly green, but I want some more. Then I'm back to being red, but since I took some off, my size is okay. Then I rebought some, bought some more, and then all these I like really started to buy some like mid 153s, and that's when I think typed in the room I'm rebuying some mid 153s, and I was just watching to see as it, I had bids lower. I was also ready to take it on the way up. And then I got my bounce and I was out and I missed some upside. So yeah, super long answer. Hope that helps, Anthony, for basically saying that I don't have an out when I'm doing that extreme extension trade stuff. And I'm trying to like explain the reasoning behind that, because not having an out when you're trading isn't smart per se. But again, it's the basis. You got to know like what, again, I always go back to like what type of trade you're taking. This is, yeah, Nick, but I know I've done this enough where that's usually when I probably should even be adding even more size when it's scariest like that. So yeah. But again, I always go back to like you got to know what type of trade you're taking. That type of trade is a extreme extension trade. That's a different type of trade than buying at support, right? It's like a different type of trade. So you got to know what type of trade you're taking. Yeah, I hope that all helps. I see you've made some more comments below. I'll read them. Just let me scroll down. I'm just already like 4:43 here. Didn't mean to take too much time. Here's a question from Denver Steve. Are you concerned that yesterday was a signal down if market grinds down again tomorrow with Meta looking good? If I guess to keep it simple, Denver Steve, if the market is below today's low tomorrow and the VIX is not above either today or yesterday's high, I will 99% be looking to do some buying. But if it looks like the VIX is breaking out and is having an inside day and up, then I'll probably be a little bit careful and wait for further extension and then maybe buy a little bit later. I have a feeling that they're going to gap us up though, but we'll see. I see Derek's answer, no stop initially. So sizing has to be appropriate. I'm not trying to make my month on that Tesla extension buy, and believe me, I used to do that and try to do that, and what happens is it works 9 out of 10 times and the one time it doesn't work, like, you below your month and it sucks. So yeah, sizing, and yeah, just I'm not trying to again double my account in that Tesla extension bounce. I'm just trying to make some cash flow. Like, and that amount of said cash flow is different for everyone and everyone's account size. Could be $50, could be $100, could be $1,000, could be $10,000. Tesla's a big name. You can trade thousands of shares in it. It's scalable. That's kind of the idea behind like this type of trade that I like with it. But yeah, that's like, yeah, sizing is super important, and yeah, don't try to make your month on that type of trade. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna buy too much too early, and then it's gonna, you're gonna think 155 is it, and then when it's at that mid 153s, you're gonna not have enough BP to buy the amount that you should be buying, and then when it bounces back to 155, instead of being green, you'll be down a little bit because you started with too much too early. I've had that problem before as well. I've been working on those types of trades for like years at this point. Honestly, I'm trying to like, yeah. Let's see. So if this trade doesn't work, is that a falling knife? Do you take this? I assume you're talking about Tesla. I mean, I've never. You gotta know what you're trading, John, but like, nothing is just gonna go straight down. I mean, I haven't traded through everything, but I traded through COVID, and from the older people that I talked to, COVID was the fastest down move like ever. And there were some crazy bounces in that down move. I mean, there were some days where SPY was down, like SPY was the limit down, and then SPY would move up. SPY would have like a 10-point short squeeze bounce in the last 20 minutes of the day, and then would gap down 10 the next day, but you would still get like intraday 100 handle S&P rallies. So, the best bounces, they say, are in bear markets. I gotta wrap this up ASAP. Because the Derek's thing, more coffee. Sometimes I have difficulty switching from long to short mindset. Really messed up my day today with D-Dog. Any thoughts how to recognize a turn as opposed to a pullback? I am definitely not good at flipping, per se. I wouldn't have tried to flip on this. I probably would have just trailed out and gotten stopped out this afternoon. That looks okay still. That Datadog doesn't look terrible. Um, I if I were you, more coffee, or when I'm me and I'm in this situation, I wouldn't think of this like, oh, I gotta try to, sell the high and then short the high. I would rather you be like, I'm long D dog. It's a strong name. It looks good. It should hold up, by the afternoon. You're looking at like your 15 and your 30-minute chart. By the afternoon, this 30-minute ADMA is above 70 up to like 70.50. You're thinking, okay, I'd like this to hold this 70.50 pivot from like way back here. It didn't make your higher high. It made a lower high, makes a lower low. I might be getting stopped out of some there. I might be trying to keep some a little bit. But if it starts to look like it's going to roll over, and you're thinking this is going to roll over because the market is going to roll over and yada, 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 I wouldn't like sell it and flip short. I would just keep your out, and then I would look for something relatively weak to short. Um, so, yeah. I don't know. I hope that kind of makes sense, but like, that's really hard to try to flip like that. I'd rather you just be long D dog because it's relative strength, and if you're really that worried, try to short something that's relatively weak, and maybe just trail your stop. Rex, I was looking at GPM around 250, accelerated downside volume. I thought GPM might give some bounce around 135 ish. Around the 314 low. Longed at 255 minute candle. Yep. Longed at 255 minute candle. Shake me out, next candle, another handle. When taking these trades, how do you execute them? When would you retry them? I probably would. Well, so you're saying 135, but then you're saying you bought. Like, I'm surprised you're not trying it on this candle off your level. Then it breaks your 135 level. It breaks day lows. So this flush out makes sense. I'd be careful. First of all, I probably wouldn't be interested in this. Seeing this flush, seeing it make new lows on the day, I just probably wouldn't even be interested in it. If I really, if you really like made me though, um, I probably could have said, well, it's under 135. The next level I see is 132. It's probably not going to 132 today. I see like 134 was a little bit over here, so maybe 134 area, if not 135. Um, and then I would have tried it on your candle. I would have gotten stopped, and then this gave an inside 5. This, yeah, I guess a little hammer. I prefer it to be green personally. Um, Pokes 130. I don't know. I mean, I don't. If you like really made me, I could be Captain Hindsight and say I would have bought back up through 134, or like seen it poke 134 and then bought it. Or you could have bought this break here. But honestly, just this rolled over. It had a bearish bounce. It rolled over, made a new low. I just don't think you should even be looking at it then and there, to be honest. Um, you got to know, you got to think like, why is your trade going to work? Why is JP Morgan going to break a new day low and then, go to new day highs? And if it, so if you don't think that, then maybe avoid it. Um, I hope that kind of helps, Rex. I don't hate the idea, but it's just, that's hard. That's hard. It's the end of the day. It's weak. What do you expect? Like, all you can really expect from this hammer is a 5-minute bounce. So best you're going to get is upper 134s, and then you should probably be all out because that's all you can really expect. And then from there, you can expect it to pivot back down and work its way back down, right? Like, that's how you got to think about it. Or at least that's how I would think about it. Last one, and then Derek starting soon. Do you look for daily Tesla? Do you look for daily support as well? Do you try to see if SPY is reaching a support level? Honestly, for that, I think I was really just looking at Tesla. I mean, the market was coming in that 405 too. I think I tried to stick with it because we also I tried to point out the possible positive VIX divergence that was happening when SPY was getting downside extended into 405. 405 has been a level before, and while that was happening, I was seeing the UVIXI make day highs, but it wasn't even really that close to yesterday's high. So SPY's well below yesterday's low. UVIXI isn't above yesterday's high. There's divergence going on. So, these people that are selling, they're scared. Let them sell to me. It's kind of what you gotta. That's what I tell myself anyway when I'm down on Tesla and buying more in the extreme extension. So. All right, hope all that helps. I'm going to wrap up because Derek's starting in like 5 minutes. I see YouTube. Currently profitable, but my edge is small. For 4 months, you made 6%. Rolled a small risk. Is 145 trade series any help? I'm not sure what that is. The best way to learn trading is to watch the markets all the time, every day, all day. That's the best way. And actually like either trade or pretend to trade, but that's the best way, honestly. Is there any edge to trading FX with no volume or tape? I've heard that FX respects. I've never traded FX. I've heard FX respects technicals a lot better. I've never traded it myself though, but I heard it respects technicals better. So maybe go off that, but personally I've never traded FX, so I wouldn't know. I feel like there's like a lot of like Discord FX chats that send out, algo FX trade signals and stuff like that. So who knows? All right, Derek's chat with the pro traders starting in T-minus 4 minutes. I'm gonna head over there. I'll post a link. Thanks, and we'll see how they gap us with Meta, and we'll see what I think Amazon tomorrow, right? A couple others too. So we'll see how they gap us. Have a good night, everybody. See you.